some of the things Jesus said about himself. Some of the things Jesus said about himself, and we'll kind of build a case on these other appearings. The first one is John 14. John 14, verse 8. Philip said, Lord, show us the Father, and that will be enough for us. Show us the Father, and that'll be enough. You know, they've been watching Jesus go. They've been seeing the miracles. They've been hearing his teachings. But he says, what's God like? Give us, let us see what God is like. Verse 9, Jesus answered, don't you know me? What was the question? Show us God. Don't you know me, Philip? Even after I've been among you for such a long time, anyone who has seen me has seen the Father. How can you say, show us the Father? He's telling them, you want to understand what God's like? Package is right here. Jesus, this is it. You want to know what he cares about, what he doesn't like, what he speaks kindly about, what he speaks harshly about. I mean, who he is. Look at Jesus. Now, there is Jesus' age, towards the time of his crucifixion, about 33 years old in his earthly ministry, his earthly life. However, John chapter 8, verse 58. Very truly I tell you, Jesus answered, before Abraham was born, I am. Look at verse 59. At this they picked up stones to stone him. But Jesus hid himself, slipping away from the temple crowds. He's saying, before Abraham was born, I am. Abraham the patriarch. Abraham the father of nations and all these things. And before that, before he was even born, Jesus says, I am. An amazing statement. And again, they didn't like what he had to say because they're going to try to bump him off right after hearing this phrase. Luke chapter 10, verse 18. Jesus speaking, he replied, I saw Satan fall like lightning from heaven. Jesus, speaking about himself, has now said, if you want to understand God, look at him. That as far as he goes, he's been around longer than Abraham, before Abraham was even born. And he even was there the day Satan fell from heaven, however long ago that was. So what I'm talking about is a term that's often Christophany. A Christophany or a theophany is some sort of appearance of God. It's some sort of physical manifestation that the average human can kind of grab hold of. These Christophanies, if we're talking about Christ, or a theophany if we're talking about God in general. So again, there's prophecies pointing towards Christ. There's types and shadows pointing towards Christ. And there are Christophanies pointing towards Christ. Look what happens in this famous passage from Daniel. Daniel, they've taken Meshach, Shadrach, and Abednego, and because they kept praying and being good Hebrews, and they passed a law, you can't pray to foreign gods, they decided to punish them by throwing them in the fiery furnace, as it's often called. The fiery furnace. And they stoked it so hot that people even near the entrance are burning up and stuff like that. This thing is heated as hot as they can possibly get it. People near it are dying. And the king says, didn't we put 3 guys in there? Yes, king. Why do I see 4 walking around? Here's his actual words. Daniel 3, 24 and 25. Daniel 3, 24 and 25. He says this. Look, I see 4 men walking around in the fire, unbound and unharmed. The guys outside are melting, catching on fire, and the Hebrew are doing okay inside. And there's a 4th guy suddenly. Look what he says. He says, the 4th looks like the son of the gods. Again, doesn't necessarily mean Jesus, but if you've seen everything else about Jesus, this one sounds like it could be him. Remember, he was before Abraham. He saw Satan fall. This could be a Christophany. Oftentimes, I look stuff up on Google, or if I'm on a Microsoft page, I use Bing. And I type in words because the average person, that's how they're going to learn their theology. They're not going to watch the different seminary professors I watch. They're not, they're going to type in, what's a theophany? And that's where they're going to get their answer from. Google. Well, I typed this one in Bing, and Bing first fills out a quick explanation, but then the AI fills out a chapter alongside of it. Copilot it's called. It's Bing's AI, Copilot. And on the term of Christophany, I also heard it called Christophany, but Christophany is one I've heard more. The term Christophany combines two Greek words, Christos, meaning Christ, and panerou, meaning to be revealed or to manifest. Oddly enough, it also said that theophany, think about it, Christophany, theophany, they should have the same suffix. It gave theophany a different second word. AI, not quite there yet. Christophany, panerou, to be revealed or manifest. So a Christ manifestation or theophany, a God manifestation. Christophany signifies a visible manifestation of Christ before his human incarnation. Before he was born, he appears. Then it says this. Think of it like Stan Lee's cameo appearances in Marvel movies. Christ shows up in the Old Testament revealing glimpses of his future role. And I kind of chuckled. You just compared Jesus to Stan Lee, And it kind of hit me. It works. Stan Lee, for those of us who've read our Marvel comics, because Marvel is better than DC, just throwing it out there. We read our Marvel comics. Stan Lee was Stan the Man Lee. He was the one who helped create Marvel Comics, and Jack Kirby and some of those other names. We're talking early 60s. Before I was born, these guys were starting to make comic books, which I collected. I was born in 65. Someone balking at my young age. So Stan Lee has appeared in Marvel movies. You have to know what he looks like because sometimes it's quick. Thor movie was, he even before the time of his death, and he lived to be a ripe old age. I was even read somewhere that he did a few more. So for the next couple of movies, he would have a cameo also. And so here is the creator, the author of Marvel Comics, making these little appearances in actual Marvel movies. Well, in that sense, it's a fine illustration. The creator, the author, making these little appearances in his own work.